everyone. Welcome to Switchblade Sisters Social Club, the true crime podcast where two friends exploit their worst fears for your entertainment.
You're welcome.
I'm Dee, a writer and podcaster.
And I'm Isla from Criminally Good Books, a true crime and crime fiction bookshop in York.
Follow us on all the socials.
Except for X, obviously.
Or have a look at our website, switchbladesisterssocialclub.com.
Check them out for all our latest episodes, events, deals, and other weird stuff.
Listeners' discretion advised. Hi, I'm Dee.
Hello. You're Dee, and I'm Isla.
But today I'm Isla, and I'm going to sit and I'm going to listen to my co-host telling me a podcast story.
Yay! I'm finally finished. Yay! How many weeks is it? 5?
This is episode 7.
You're not counting.
Before we get too excited about this, I have a really sad update from our Nicole Vandenherk case that we did. Do you remember the one where last week? Do you remember last week?
Yeah. I was thinking it's really soon. So what happened?
Well, it's something I missed that our amazing editor Cutler found. If you watch our podcast, you can watch it on Spotify or YouTube. She sort of cuts in lots of images of what we're talking about, and she's amazing. And some of them we supply her, and others she just finds, and she's just a fantastic addition to our team. And so is, she's got a team of her own. They found out, so the last case we did, Nicole Vandenherk, who was the girl who was 15 in 1995, got murdered in Holland. And her brother, in order to get attention to the case decades later, confessed to her murder to draw attention to it again, to reopen it, led to them exhuming the body and finding the actual killer. So what a legend her brother was.
Absolutely.
Found out that apparently he'd been found potentially had taken his life.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, that's so sad.
You could already tell that it had taken such an enormous toll on him.
Imagine.
For him to confess to her murder in order to, that's a pretty drastic move.
Exactly, to exhume the body so that they could test her.
So he obviously was really struggling with that case for so long, bless him. Yeah. So that's a really sad update. But what an amazing act.
What an amazing brother, and he was phenomenal and just pushed and pushed and pushed when the authorities wouldn't do anything.
Yeah. And I just never heard of someone doing that before. Taking an enormous risk, and the fact that it paid off is amazing. The fact that it had to happen is less amazing, but
no, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Oh, bless him. Oh, he was an absolute legend.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about a different case, and I don't know where it is. I feel really out of my element.
Do you feel lightheaded and giddy?
Yeah, I'm like, what do I do? What do I do with my hands? Do I just sit here?
Get yourself some popcorn. I know, exactly. Well, you get yourself ready, Dee, because I'm the one that usually sits back and listens and,
Do you have any tips for me on how to sit back and relax?
How to sit back and relax? I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to try, but I do have ADHD.
Do feel free to ask questions and jump in and, whatever.
I think that's how I'll cope with this, by interrupting you every 5 minutes with different questions.
Please do. There is a lot of information on this case. So before I go into it, and I will cover my sources, there's a lot of information on this case. Some of it conflicting, most of it is consistent. I've got crime scene reports. I've got a lot of information, a lot of backstory. However, just to say that I don't want to be too voyeuristic with this particular case because it's a particularly gruesome one. There's a lot more that you can find out about it online if you want to, but I don't really want to go into such graphic detail, but I will go
injuries, I'm guessing. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but I will go into it.
Our party line is to kind of describe the injuries as much as we need to in order to understand the case, but yeah,
exactly. And I can give you a flavour of that, and I can read some of the stuff from the crime scene report and people on the scene, but there's a lot more information if you want to find it. But do you want to know the country that we're going to?
Yeah. Are you going to give me clues?
Okay. Put another shrimp on the Barbie.
We're going to Australia. Okay, good.
Yeah, we're going to Australia just 26 years ago. So it's not like an oldie case, and it's not a modern one.
There's some of our younger listeners going, oh, so the olden days. And we're like,
the olden days. Yes. Do you have any ideas so far?
So the year 2000, Australia. Okay, I was like 17. So
No,
what
you
was
were.
happening in Australia when I was
17. Oh, yeah, you were. Sorry. Oops. My
yeah.
maths is bad.
No, any more clues? What state are we in?
So we're in a town called Aberdeen.
Oh, I like how you have that Scottish connection, even though it's
Yeah, there we
Australia.
are. Exactly. I thought this case originally was in Scotland. I'm not going to lie.
This
When
is
I
like when
saw
I
it,
covered the entirely wrong serial killer from Perth.
oh, there's one in Scotland, one in Australia. I mean, I'm guessing it's because there was so much immigration
Yeah.
to.
I mean, I remember reading something about a Croydon in Australia. And I just like the idea of people being like, let's rename this of our nostalgic
I
hometown,
know.
Croydon.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Exactly. So nothing so far. Female killer, male victim.
No.
And it's a historical first as well in Australia. So shall I just dive in?
Yeah.
Okay, so my sources, Wikipedia, Murderpedia, AAP Australian Associated Press, Daily Telegraph Australia, Emma Kenny's YouTube channel, The
Oh,
Dinner from Hell.
we like Emma Kenny, don't we?
Yeah. A book called Bloodstain and a book called Maneater.
Available at Criminally Good Books.
UK.
.uk.
Inside Story Twisted Minds, and one final one, ITVX, episode 6, Crimes That Shook Australia.
First of all, I didn't know that was a show.
Yeah, it's
I'm
really
doing the
good.
rest of the day.
Honestly,
TV.
really, really interesting stuff. Right. So I'm going to go straight to the crime and then I'm going to give you the backstory and go back and forth. Okay. So on March the 1st, 2000, the quiet town of Aberdeen in Australia became famous for a crime that was beyond contemplation in a civilised society. That's what the judge said.
Can I just say that we're recording on the 2nd of March? So we're basically on the 26th
Oh my
anniversary of
gosh,
this
of
crime.
course we are.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, we are. Yeah. So the judge said beyond contemplation in a civilized society, you know. I mean, we've seen some really awful civil rights abuses recently in the last 2 years and lots of other stuff going on in the world, which is horrific that we never thought would, happen.
Happen
And
in
it's
this day and
happening.
age. So yeah, we question civilized society in any country of the world right now, but sure, sure.
So today I'm going to look at the case of Katherine Knight. Ringing any bells?
No.
So she was a woman whose upbringing in early years, like 100%, like her early years of abuse and later adult life of extreme violence led her to become the first woman in Australian history sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Ooh, we
Okay.
love a first. Not that one, maybe.
Yeah, we do love a first, but no, that was quite
Yeah.
gruesome. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you, sadly, about the death of John Price, who was the partner of Katherine Knight.
Romantic partner?
Romantic partner.
Okay, they
Romantic
didn't have a law
partner.
firm together.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not. Definitely not. So John Price, known as Pricey, was a well-liked local miner in the area. Despite knowing Catherine's reputation, and I will go into this, she had a violent past, he started dating her and let her move into his property in 1995. Okay, so they were together for like a good few years. However, that relationship was extremely violent, and I will go into all the kind of the backstory. It led to the point that he actually took out a restraining order against her because she'd stabbed him in the past. She'd been extremely abusive towards him over the years that they were together. So he took out a restraining order and he told his co-workers the day before the incident, if I don't come to work tomorrow, it's because she murdered me.
Do we know if the violence was one way?
Do you mean over the period of the relationship or on the night of the incident?
Over the period of the relationship.
I can't find anything that says there was anything on his side, and there's a lot of sources that I've gone through. That's not to say that there wasn't something. There was definitely a lot of violence in her past, in her childhood, which was not inflicted by her. Things that she's witnessed and things particularly around men, but I cannot find any evidence that any man that I've researched, and that doesn't mean that it's not the case, that did anything to her. It was definitely her. She was the one that was doing the aggression and the violence. But that doesn't mean
Didn't
that
know
there
any other
wasn't
way by
something.
the sounds of
Like,
it, which is no excuse when you get into adulthood,
well, exactly.
but it is a bit of an explanation, isn't it?
Exactly. So she didn't like the fact that he had been able to block her out and that she wasn't allowed in the house anymore. Now it was his house, he owned the house, she'd stayed there for years, but the violence got so bad that he's like, restraining order, she's not allowed round.
So they
However,
broke up. He basically
broke
kicked
up,
her out.
he wasn't interested, like didn't want her anymore, eventually got the restraining order, she's not allowed to come round. And this is the fatal mistake. So on the night of February the 29th, Katherine prepared to buy new lingerie. She videotaped her children in what was later seen as a makeshift will. She arrived, I'm just going to call him Pricey because that's what he was known as, John Price. Like she did a lot of, like, there's a lot of
Australians and their
premeditated stuff.
nickname.
I know there's a lot of premeditation here. It'll all become clear. She arrived at the house wearing the sexy lingerie. He let her in. They had sex. After a restraining order, he fell into a deep sleep, and then she began the final horrific act, what she planned to do. While he slept, she stabbed him 37 times. He woke up and tried to flee. I'll show you a picture of the house in a second. It's a single story property, so he couldn't go upstairs. He ran down the corridor. There was a trail of blood throughout the house. He managed to get outside naked, and she managed to get him back in and killed him. There's a video on the documentary of his daughter. She's obviously extremely upset. And all the family members had warned him about Katherine. And the daughter said, you know, he almost made it. Like he got outside. He was 44. He managed to get outside and she got him back in. Once he was dead, she used her professional abattoir skills. She skinned his body in one singular piece, an expert pelt, it's called. She took off his whole skin, his face, his ears, and his genitals, everything, and she hung his whole skin from a meat hook that she had installed in the lounge.
Can I just go back a little bit? Because the fact that she clearly knew she wanted to kill him, and so part of her plan was to have sex with him, like that she's had sex with him and planning to kill him in the same night. It just, yeah. I know those two things are often linked, unfortunately, but that is a head fuck to me.
Well, she had to get into the property and he was never going to let her in. And obviously there was some sort of negotiation with the sexy lingerie and kind of coming into the house and stuff. And obviously it's like, he's let her in. This is someone that I don't know whether he loved her, like he would know that, but someone that he definitely cared for. He chose for her to, you know, come into the property and live with him. You know, she lived with him for years, and there's children involved, which, you know, I'll go through. There's adult children and then younger children.
And I'm sure she's got quite good at manipulating him into doing what she wants. So, yeah. Oh, okay. So, and she'd installed this meat hook on the night or in advance? Because I'd be like, hey.
She'd recently installed the meat. So it was actually in advance. Now, she had done it in like an architrave in the living room. But she also, from a young age, slept with butcher knives above her bed. And I'll obviously go into her backstory. But the family, her father was an abattoir worker. And a lot of people in the town that she lived in were, and then she went into that sort of trade as well. And I'll go into the detail of that.
Fair enough. If that's like one of the local big businesses and lots of people work in it, fine. It's just a bit weird to be like, oh, I'm just gonna bring my work home with me
and have it above your bed
and in the living room.
I mean, I surround myself with books, but they're not going to kill me unless they fall in my head.
Yeah, that's not a meat hook, though, is it?
No, I know. Would you like to see a picture of John?
Yeah, Pricey.
We'll have a little look at John first.
Oh, Pricey. Is that her?
That's her on the right-hand side.
Oh my God, it's messing with my mind because she's wearing a Looney Tunes t-shirt.
He actually looks a little bit older. I always think that people, like when it's like sunny, you know, sometimes, like in Australia, obviously it's been a hot day because they're both bright red and look like they're burnt. They're both wearing baseball caps and they look like they're just having a fun time. She's like smoking, smiling at someone else. He's
He's
looking at the
holding a drink,
camera,
maybe a
holding a
beer.
beer. Yeah, and just
But
like
they
casual.
look like they're at a barbecue in Australia,
Well, exactly.
which
Exactly.
yeah. And they just look like just regular Joes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
Nothing unusual.
just people that live in the
Nothing unusual at
town
all.
and hang out and have normal jobs working in abattoir.
Yeah,
But yeah, not anyone that looks like neither of them look suspicious or particularly unique
completely.
in any way. If I'm trying to say that nicely, they just look like normal people, right? Both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to show you a picture of Catherine again, just so that you can
Like I
see.
said, she's wearing a Looney Tune. She's got a Tweety bird on her
Yep.
top, which is very, very contradictory to what I feel like you're gonna.
What I'm going to go into, I'm going to show you another picture of her. She looks like a wholesome
Looks
mum.
the
Like,
mum,
I know
yeah.
that, she's just got her glasses, smiling. She looks happy, sat on a sofa.
She's got like round glasses, like sort of a bit boofy hair, because this is the tail end of the 90s, 2000s,
Mhm.
isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just,
So seems perfectly normal looking.
yeah,
And I know that like when you see people, you can't always be like, oh, they're a murderer.
yeah.
They look dodgy or anything. But yeah, so just to show you that just normal looking people. So let me go on to what actually happened. So as I've said, the horrific, she hung his skin up on this meat hook. His whole skin in one entire piece was taken off, including the skin on his head. And I'm sorry about this next bit. She then decapitated him and she cooked his head in a pot with vegetables. Most chillingly, if you didn't think that that was bad enough, she prepared two meals. She carved the meat from, I'm really sorry about this, she carved the meat from Pricey's buttocks and she served it with gravy and vegetables on plates intended for his children. She put the children's names on notes next to the plates. She then went into town and she withdrew $1,000 from his bank account. Now, luckily, the children didn't come home. She'd sent the two younger children away, and their two older children, I believe, weren't there at the time. And police arrived at the property the next morning because he hadn't turned up for work, had he?
Mm.
And he had said, if I don't turn up for work. And that's the only reason that the police turned up.
So his colleague must have been like, something's gone down and reported him missing, right?
Yep. The colleague turned up at the house, couldn't get into the property, called the police. And I believe that there was blood on the porch.
Oh,
Yeah,
so he'd got outside and got dragged back in. Oh,
exactly. So the police arrived the next morning. They found Catherine in a coma from an overdose of pills. So she'd obviously tried to take her own life. In court, she'd actually pleaded not guilty to the whole thing and said she didn't have any recollection. But she actually did later on go to tell her, she actually told her brother, I'll get away with it because I'll make out that I'm mad. So whether she actually decided to kill herself or took just enough so that she was comatose, we don't know. So the following is an account, a complete report by the crime scene investigator, Detective Senior Constable Peter Anthony Muscio, so Muscio. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering that name. Muscio. He was the first officer into the premises when they discovered John Pricey's body. Obviously, we know from extensive research and watching things do, don't we, that the first person in the crime scene, be like, you do not touch anything. You obviously need to make sure that the person is dead. It was very evident that there was no life with this individual. And I don't know whether I'm going to go into all the detail. I will decide as I'm reading it and see your reaction. Okay. So at about 10 a.m., Peter entered the property. I attended the premises at 84 St Andrews Street in relation to an alleged homicide. The premises were built towards the eastern side of a block, leaving a grassed area on the western side where three vehicles were parked. It's a single-story long building. I can show you a picture shortly. And it's grass at the front and three cars. So he says the dwelling had a full-length veranda across the front of the property. and it wrapped round to the rear of the premises. Before entering, my attention was drawn to a piece of cooked meat on the rear lawn in front of a white Ford sedan. I made an examination of this piece of meat and collected it for further testing. They believed that that piece of meat was part of Pricey that Katherine decided to eat and that she vomited it up on the lawn. So that's what they think happened.
I don't know why that's so shocking to me that she threw it up, but bizarre.
I
Okay.
know. I entered the premises to conduct a cursory examination. I walked in through the rear door and into the kitchen. Once inside the kitchen, I saw a large section of what appeared to be human skin hanging from the top architrave of a doorway leading into the lounge room. And can I just say that anyone entering a crime scene has the utmost respect, because, you don't really know exactly what you're going to see when you go in. And all the officers from this have long-term trauma. And I'm not going to go into that, but they all had counselling. The police force paid for all of them to have counselling. This was absolutely, a horrific case. So he saw what he thought was human skin hanging from a hook. The piece of skin extended from the top of the doorway right down to the floor and appeared to be an entire human skin. And we now know that to be the case.
Imagine walking in on that. I can't even.
I'm only going to go into the detail because I want you to know how horrific it is, and then the sentencing and why the sentencing is what it is. And then I haven't gone into Katherine's backstory yet, and I feel that I need to go into what the officers found in her backstory, then so that you can make a kind of a judgment. Obviously, what she did was appalling and should never happen to anyone, but I feel like you need the whole kind of
to understand
story.
How someone can get to the point that they do this. Yeah.
And I still don't understand this.
No.
So I entered the premises, looking through the doorway into the lounge room, I could see a headless and skinless human body. As I entered the foyer, I saw an extreme amount of blood pooled on the floor, smeared along the eastern wall of the entry. I walked further east along the hallway, noticed blood leading from the bedroom. So they know that Pricey had tried to escape, and he goes to talk about the detail of the blood from the bedroom and kind of leading outside. So essentially, I'm not going to go into the detail because it's absolutely horrific. He found Pricey sat in a chair with his legs crossed. She'd propped him up with a bottle of whiskey or bottle of alcohol, his arm wrapped around it. So can you imagine a headless...
This is his headless body.
He's a headless corpse, sat on a chair with his legs crossed, with his arm around a bottle. Could you imagine if the children had come home and seen that?
Oh my God.
That is the stuff of absolute nightmares.
And it's your
father and your stepfather sat there with his skin hung up and him being in a chair. I mean, it's absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific.
So some of the kids were hers as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
She was quite okay. Well, obviously she wanted some of the kids to eat him, and she was okay with them seeing that.
Yeah.
That's like...
as a mother,
another whole crime all over it.
Even if her kids were not involved, as a mother seeing that, like knowing that a child would see that, you're okay with that? Like, that is just...
I mean, I guess it's not a massive surprise that her perspective is warped if she thinks it's okay to do that to a person in the first place, but...
I know. Absolutely horrific. It's just really horrible. I'm just not going to go into the rest of the detail because there is more. If people want to find out more detail, because there is a lot more, and it's actually a bit more kind of gruesome than what I've gone into. So he then went into the kitchen and he found a full pot of liquid on the surface, and he could identify skinned human heads in there with a number of cooked vegetables. He saw a baking dish on the side with leftover vegetables. I mean, he's even gone into the detail of the type of vegetables that she cooked. Okay. He then saw 2 plates, as I've discussed, and under each of the meals was a torn section of paper with a name written on it. One word was Beaky, Beaky, which is the name of one of the daughters, and the other one was Jonathan. Anyway, so we know that he tried to flee the scene and he obviously didn't get out. And I would encourage anyone, if you've got a strong stomach, to watch the documentary, because it's horrible talking about Pricey as a victim, which obviously he was, but his daughter talks about him and basically says for years they were trying to convince Pricey not to stay with this woman, and he obviously did and didn't listen to his children.
What's
So
the documentary on? Apple.
so there's one on ITVX. Yeah, there's
Oh,
one on
right. Yeah, yeah.
ITVX. And then the other one, there is one, it's a YouTube, I think it's Australian Press, AP. So yeah, I would definitely check them out. So they obviously found Katherine comatose. They took her to hospital. She'd obviously tried to supposedly commit suicide, but they're not 100% sure because she supposedly confessed to her brother that she would get away with it and just say that she was mad. She was tried. I will go into that, but perhaps I think I might just go into her background to see what led her to this particular situation because it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So Katherine Mary Knight was born on October the 24th, 1955 in New South Wales. She was a twin. So she was the younger twin, arriving 30 minutes after her sister Joy. Her family life, and this is numerous accounts from people at the time that knew the family, they said that the family life was defined by like deep dysfunction. Her mother, Barbara, had fled an earlier marriage after starting an affair with Ken Knight, who was Katherine's biological father. Ken Knight was a violent alcoholic who reportedly raped Barbara, Katherine's mother, up to 10 times a day. Katherine has started her childhood with her father raping her mother 10 times a day. Her mother has also said to her when Katherine had later relationships and said that she didn't want to perform particular sexual acts on men, her mother basically just told her, shut your eyes and just do it. Just do whatever they tell you to do. Stop complaining. So, I'm not saying that anything is justified in what Katherine has done, but
No,
this is
but that's,
very, very, very dysfunctional.
if you think your job as a parent is to raise a functioning adult, those parents were not raising a functioning adult, were they?
No. And there's several children here. So let's talk about Ken Knight, her father. He was an abattoir slaughterman, okay? And he travelled with the family throughout Queensland and New South Wales, wherever there was a need, wherever work could be found. So Ken and Barbara, so her parents had 6 children, and they eventually settled in Aberdeen in 1969. And that's where there was like steady work with the local abattoir. People have said that there were absolutely no boundaries within this family. Like, Katherine lived in an environment where boundaries were completely non existent. Katherine was subjected to beatings with leashes and electrical cords by several family members. She was sexually assaulted by family members, although she does say that it was never her father. Her father never sexually assaulted her, but other
Okay,
family
her
members
siblings?
did.
Siblings? Uncle?
Other family members, but not her uncle. So she had a really strong bond with her uncle Oscar Knight, and he was a champion horse rider, and she really looked up to him. Like she had one family member that she could trust, and that was this uncle. And she really liked him and really got on. But I don't know how much he knew about what was going on. But there's several accounts, and maybe other people, listeners, can see. I saw several references to her saying that she was assaulted by family members, but I cannot see the name, like who those family members were. All I know is that she said that it wasn't her father and it wasn't her uncle Oscar. However, Oscar did die, and that left a massive void in her life. He actually committed suicide, and I couldn't find out a huge amount about that. But that obviously really has affected this vulnerable young girl. She was
This is
11, I believe, at the
awful, and
time.
we always want to believe the victims. But is there any actual evidence from anywhere else that this happened to her?
What, the sexual assault?
Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't focused on the detail of that. It's mentioned in multiple sources as coming from her and people that knew the family of the time.
Okay. All right.
So I don't know.
If it's coming from like other people that know the family, I was just wondering if it was part of her ploy. I mean, there's clearly something that's made her do this
Mm,
to her supposed loved one. So I just wondered how much of it is a ploy if she's been caught saying that she's gonna, you know what I mean? She's gonna get off because she's gonna claim that she's mad, you
Well,
know?
exactly. Yeah. No, no, completely. I will go through her other relationships. Unfortunately, Pricey is not the only one that suffered at her hands. So even if she blames her childhood for that one incident, there are that horrific incident of Pricey's death. There were several other near misses before that that you can't just go, I had a bad childhood. That's why I killed Pricey. She's had several things before that. So interestingly, Catherine was seen, we talk about bullies are actually troubled children here
Yeah.
as well. And she was seen as a loner and a bully, but she was also quite smart. And the teachers thought that she had potential, but unfortunately she didn't go sort of down that route. She assaulted children in high school. She assaulted one boy with a weapon and injured a teacher as well. She left school at 15, not able to really read or write that well, although the teachers did say that she was smart. And she left because she wanted to pursue what she said was her dream job at the local abattoir. So I don't know if she's trying to, wants to be in there with her father, and that's what the boys were doing, and she wanted that job. So she thrived in this abattoir. She loved the job. She absolutely loved it, and she was quickly promoted to boning carcasses, which is quite a
Guild.
labor intensive, skilled and very labor intensive job. And she absolutely loved it, loved it. She was an expert boner. That sounds really rude, but she was an expert boner. And the job actually, they supplied her with her own set of butcher knives. And she was so proud of the tools that she hung them above her bed for like 30 years.
Oh.
Okay, so, and they were obviously found there until they were found during her
I mean,
arrest.
I know, but that makes it sound less weird that she was proud of this career. But obviously, there's the whole skinning of her ex-partner that brings it back into the weird territory.
Love a good murder? Come visit me, Isla, at Crimley Good Books in York, your one-stop shop for crime fiction and true crime reads, as well as gifts and author events. Or browse online at crimleygoodbooks.co.uk.
Her going and working in the abattoir with her dad and stuff, that's kind of sounding a bit like trying desperately to get like approval from this very hard man. And it's just incredibly sad, isn't it?
Well, it is. And I suppose, I'm not jumping to conclusions. I'm just making stuff up, just like kind of you are, just thinking about what the situation is. You've got a father who does horrific stuff to your mother. A lot of children, and we know this, they gravitate towards the abuser because they want to please the abuser. And she's obviously chosen to work in the same environment as her father, who's an extremely violent alcoholic. So, it's no wonder that her romantic history had sort of violence in it. So let's start. So she's 1973, she met a truck driver called David Kellett. She married him very soon after meeting him. And interestingly, before she married David Kellett, Barbara, Catherine's mother, approached David and said, just before their wedding night, she said, you better watch this one or she'll fucking kill you. Stir her up the wrong way or do the wrong thing and you're fucked. So this is what he said. He said this is what the mother said to him the night before their wedding. Okay. Now,
Thanks, Mum.
I know, exactly. So on their wedding night in 1974, now they met in 1973, they got married quite quickly. Catherine reportedly tried to strangle him, not through some sort of sexual act, but because they'd intercourse only 3 times. Okay, and this is him saying this. This is him saying this. Okay, the violence just escalated. So when she was heavily pregnant, she hit her husband with a frying pan, fractured his skull. And the reason why she did that is because he got into the final of a darts match, right? and came home a little bit later than he said he would. And she decided to hit him over the head. And she knew that he'd got through to the final of this match and that he was going to be home late, but she wasn't happy that he was out and she was in. So she hit him over the head with a frying pan. The
I mean,
next
I
bit is
think that
absolutely
almost
horrific.
every woman has been in this situation. So, yes, we understand how annoying it is. Have you ever been tempted
No,
to hit them with a frying pan?
but she actually fractured his skull. He had to go to the hospital.
Oh my God. Did he
Really
leave
bad.
after this?
No. Well, he did leave, but she'd had the baby
Hmm.
and she decided to take it out on the 2-month-old daughter,
No.
Melissa. She left her on the railway tracks to be killed by a train. This case is horrific. She left a 2-month-old baby on the railway tracks. Fortunately, the baby was rescued because a man was nearby and he was like foraging nearby, is all I can see. I don't know if he was homeless foraging for food or foraging in bushes for berries or whatever it was. He heard the baby crying and he went over and he picked it up from the railway line.
So, how is she not in jail after this?
Well,
Oh God.
later on that same day, she was found with an axe that she was swinging wildly about her head, threatening to kill random people. I mean, she's seriously got mental health problems by this point. She tried to kill an old man with an axe, apprehended by the police and taken to St Elmo's Hospital in Tamworth, where she was diagnosed with postnatal depression.
Okay.
However, she was released quite soon after that, so she wasn't kept for long at all. I think it was days, not like, months.
I mean, I'm obviously not going to judge whether it was postnatal depression or something else or whatever, but whether she's been arrested or being held because of her mental health, like that's quite severe. So, yeah, you would have thought she'd need to be in care of some kind for longer than a few days.
I know, this is a baby, it's like she's tried to strangle her husband. She's tried to kill her own baby. She then slashed the face of a woman she knew with a butcher's knife because she demanded that this woman take her to where David Kellett, her husband, was.
Or what? So at this point, she didn't know where he was.
Correct. And this woman didn't want to take her, so she slashed her in the face. Bleeding profusely, the woman escaped when she pulled into a petrol station. So she was in the car, and Katherine had obviously taken over the car and tried to get her to take her to where David was. So she was obviously in the car with her, slashed her, and then the woman managed to pull into a petrol station.
And this is a woman who knows how to use knives. Like, this is a calculated move. It's not just like I'm angry. Like, she wouldn't know
Yeah.
what she's doing.
Yeah. So basically, I think that what had happened was she effectively hijacked this car of a woman that she knew, potentially know where David was. The woman essentially pulled into a petrol station to escape. She slashed her face. The petrol station attendant called the police, and they arrived to find Katherine holding a little boy by the front of his shirt and waving a knife in the air, threatening to kill him. So she's now using children
Shield.
that aren't hers as human shields. The officers managed to take the little boy away from her and they managed to hit her with brooms that they had. They managed to grab her and she dropped the knife.
The officers hit her with brooms.
She basically had a little boy and she had a knife to him. She was holding him. The officers were trying to get the little boy away and trying to get the knife out of her hand, and they hit her with brooms, is what the account says. She dropped the knife and the little boy was let go, and they grabbed the little boy and then they grabbed her. So they managed to knock the knife out of her. Like, they managed to hit her with these brooms. I imagine they went right up to her and just tried to like smash the shit out of her. They managed to get her to let go of the little boy and she dropped the knife.
Just weird that they use brooms and they don't have something a little bit more job.
It says they attacked her with a couple of brooms that were handy, says the police report. I've got all the stuff from the police report here, but I'm trying to add my own spin to it.
Yeah.
So, on the recommendation of the local doctor, thankfully, she was admitted to Morisset Psychiatric Hospital for treatment and detained under supervision while her baby daughter, remember Melissa, who was still with her, she hadn't been taken away from her, was placed in the care of her grandparents, Barbara and Ken, the rapist, Knight.
Oh no.
So police notified David of what was happening. Now, he was working as a truck driver in Queensland at the time, and they said, look, your wife has been locked up in a psychiatric ward under heavy sedation. The Morisset Psychiatric Hospital was the most notorious mental health institution in New South Wales. So he knew that it's obviously
Serious.
serious. This is how good this man is, this husband who has been abused and whose child was almost killed. He, along with his mother, Jean, drove hundreds of kilometers to be with his troubled wife, who he's still married to, but obviously they're no longer together. And they decided to look after her, to look after Katherine. So on August 9th, 1976, Katherine was released into the care of her mother-in-law on the condition that Jean, the mother-in-law, see to it that she takes her medication.
It is postnatal depression, which I'm guessing this guy only partly believes because it sounds like she was aggressive to him pre being
Before they
pregnant.
had children, yeah. Before they had Melissa, yeah.
But I mean, if she did have any element of postnatal depression, it would have only aggravated all of that.
Right, I
And that's
know.
very noble, isn't it? To be like, well, I impregnated her. So obviously everything that comes as a result of that, I'm partly responsible for. But fucking hell, that is, because I know postnatal depression can change a woman and make them act out of character and do things that are really difficult for their partners to understand. But like fucking putting your baby on train tracks.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then grabbing a little boy at a petrol station, he would remember that for the rest of his life. The woman with the slashed face was disfigured for the rest of her life. It's not like just small things. These are massive, massive things that affect people. And it just continues. It just keeps going. I mean, we're not talking about like the 1800s here. We're talking about like the 70s, then into the 80s, 90s, 2000s. It's continued for like 30 odd years. So, as I said, Katherine was released into the care of her mother-in-law, Jean, who was to make sure that she took her medication. And they collected Melissa, the daughter, after picking up Katherine. And within a couple of weeks, Katherine and David were back together, living in a rented bungalow in Queensland in a place called Woodridge. David drove trucks and Katherine took a job boning at the Dinmore Meatworks in Ipswich. I love how all these names are like UK names as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they're back together after this horrific period. Okay. Unfortunately, them getting back together, it was stormier than ever.
No
Katherine
way.
regularly, yeah, I know. She regularly, supposedly, flew into violent rages over nothing in particular. She's assaulted her husband on several occasions with her fists, but then also with kitchen appliances, other items around the house, anything that she could lay her hands on. But astonishingly, in March 1980, so they were together for like 3 years, no, 2.5 years after. So once she came out of hospital, the psychiatric unit, she was looked after by Jean. And then within a few weeks, her and her husband got back together. Within 2 years, they had had another daughter, Natasha Marie. So they've had another child. That relationship didn't last. And, her husband managed to get out of that without being killed and without too much else happening to him. But she lost interest in her husband, and that's how they were able to move on, not because he tried to escape or he left or he lost interest. She lost interest. So her next partner didn't really fare much better. So his name is David Saunders. So early on in the relationship, she wanted to prove to him what would happen if he ever cheated on her. He had a 2-month-old puppy, okay? And she said to him, if you ever cheat on me, this is what I'll do with you. And she slit the throat of his 2-month-old puppy right in front of him.
And then he left her.
No, he stayed. She decorated their home, covering every inch of the walls with animal skins, skulls, horns, rusty animal traps. She would repeatedly hit him. She stabbed him with scissors. She abused him. And eventually he went into hiding. It's a constant, there's
a pattern.
Constant stuff, constant pattern here. Okay, and this leads us on to John Price, so Pricey. He was a well-liked local miner Everyone in the community knew him. He was a fun guy, really well respected. Pricey knew her reputation. Friends, neighbours, his children said that despite knowing the reputation,
What with other partners?
with other partners, yeah, and her violent streaks. So
Because it doesn't
despite
sound like
knowing
they're
that,
living in very big communities. So, like,
no,
yeah,
no.
probably would have heard the stories. And he still decides to go with her. Okay.
He still
Right.
decides to go with her. And then, so this is like a few years later. So then we're looking at 1995 we're in now. So she's obviously had, relationships and stuff, but these are the significant ones that I just want to draw your attention to that I've found particular instances of violence. So they'd been dating for a little while and she let him move in. Sorry, he let Katherine move in to his home in 1995 with her children and his children. And he refused to marry her, which I think says something. And they had a relationship that was fueled with violence. She would hit him, she would abuse him, but he still didn't leave her. He refused to marry her. She asked him to marry her, and he said no. And she retaliated by filming him with items that he'd scavenged from the company rubbish tip at work, right? But she made out to his boss that he'd stole them. So he was fired from the job that he'd had for 17 years. This is how vengeful she is.
And you said that he's also got kids.
He's also got, his kids are older, so he's got older kids. And then she's got the two.
As a divorcee, I don't know whether he was married to the partner or not.
I don't know.
But the not wanting to get married again or for the first time or whatever might not have anything to do with her.
Well, exactly.
Or it could have.
I'm not going to do it. Or I want to keep my property. This is my,
or I don't feel the need to register my relationship with the government or whatever. There could be a million reasons. I mean, it could also be her.
Yeah, completely. I mean, he had his job for 17 years. Like, who stays in a job for 17 years? He stayed in that job, I don't know what it's like in Australia with pensions at this time. He's obviously got a job that he is good at, enjoys. Like, he's got a job, and then she then gets him fired because she's spiteful.
And also smaller communities. Like I said, I'm assuming this isn't a huge, massive, big city. There's less job opportunities. And especially if you're fired for stealing, probably everyone else is going to know about this fact about you, in quotation marks, and you're going to struggle to find another job. Why the fuck?
I know. Awful. So by the February 2000, Katherine was now turning to stabbing Pricey. So she had actually previously stabbed him before the incident that happened, the big incident. She stabbed him in the chest during the argument. And this is when he finally took out the restraining order. And then he did have another job at this point, and that's when he said to co-workers, if I don't come to work tomorrow, it's because she's murdered me.
Where the fuck are the police in all this?
I know. So we've come full circle now. We've come to, if I don't come to work tomorrow. So we know that the police arrived at the scene. They know that, what they found. So her trial and sentencing. So despite intensive questioning, she still denied having any recollection of what happened that night in the house.
So she's not saying she didn't do it. She's just like, I don't remember, temporary insanity.
Correct. So they're calling it temporary amnesia. She doesn't remember having sex with him. She doesn't remember turning up at the house. She doesn't remember anything. She doesn't
buying
remember
the lingerie.
I'm not sure about that, but she does not have any recollection of what happened after she arrived at the house. So presumably she does remember arriving at the house. So it says that she doesn't have any recollection of what happened after she arrived. Having recovered from her alleged suicide attempt, because we remember that she told her brother that she would just say that she was mad and would get away with it, and we're not sure if she took enough of an overdose to kill her, or whether she was just doing it to say that she was mad. A week later, on March 6th, 2000, Katherine Knight was charged with John Pricey's murder, and she was charged at the psychiatric hospital. She didn't go into court. So she had originally pled not guilty. but then she did actually plead guilty in the end. According to court-appointed psychiatrists, she was perfectly sane when she committed the crimes. On November the 8th, Justice Barry O'Keefe sentenced Katherine Mary Knight to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The judge said that her papers were to be marked never to be released. She has since appealed the severity of the sentence, but that appeal was rejected. It is open to debate as to whether or not Katherine Knight ate parts of her lover after she cooked his head and slices from his buttocks. It's hard to say if all of the pieces of John Price were accounted for. To this day, she maintains that all that she recalls that night is that they had good sex and both climaxed. Then she remembers that Pricey got out of bed to go for a pee and she watched him come back into the bedroom. After that, she presumes that she fell asleep and that was that. So obviously, I forgot about that bit. She clearly remembers that. The general consensus of opinion is that she ate part of John Price and that she found what she did so abhorrent that she chose to block it out of her mind.
I mean, that's a kind version.
Yeah. I'm going to read something else to you. So she obviously did try and appeal, and that's been rejected, thankfully. Can you imagine? I know it is next level.
A few levels up from what we really hear.
Next judgment. I mean, Justice Barry O'Keefe actually did say during the sentencing that the last minutes of John Price's life would be a time of abject terror, while they were a time of utter enjoyment for Katherine Knight. He's actually said.
He said she actually enjoyed what she did to him. Wow.
Yeah, he's actually quoted after reviewing all of the evidence, which I've not gone into. As I've told you, there was a ton of stuff. The judge, has actually said that she took utter enjoyment from what she did to him. So today, Katherine remains in Silverwater Women's Correctional Centre. She's never expressed remorse. Interestingly, she's taken a leadership role amongst the prisoners, acting as a mediator and earning the nickname the Nana or Queen Bee, with no record of violence since being incarcerated. Okay.
Yeah, because she knows how to pick her victims, and it's not these like women in jail. It's vulnerable men, right?
Cleaner in the governor's office of the correctional centre. She will never be released, and she's never going to get a job in the kitchen. So that is the story. And unfortunately, the newspapers, and I didn't actually call her this, but when you look it up in all the stuff that you can find online, they sensationalize it and they call her the Butcher of Aberdeen. And I just think that's a bit sick because, you know, of obviously what happened to Pricey. Yeah. But that's the story of Katherine Knight, and there's so much more. I mean, she obviously had such a horrific upbringing, and, you know, the violence that she must have witnessed between her father and her mother was horrible, would have been horrible. You get men that have had to flee her because of her violence towards them. And unfortunately, Pricey let her in that night. And after getting a restraining order, he was almost there.
Yeah, and you can see her behavior escalating over the years and over the relationships. So it's really sad that someone, whether it's a partner, a police officer, social services, I don't know, that someone wasn't able to take it a little bit further.
I know, because she went into 2 psychiatric units. So clearly they were happy to admit her. They obviously thought she had postnatal depression. I imagine that she was probably quite good at talking the talk because, you know, she looked really happy in that picture with Pricey. She managed to get men. She's had children. She seems in the picture to be fun. You know, it looks like a nice picture. She's clearly able to persuade people to spend time with her.
And act normally, in quotation marks. I need a palate cleanser like I've never needed a palate cleanser before. Give it to me.
Okay. So you want the quiz? I've got the quiz. Don't worry, it's not about cannibalism or anything else.
It's not a food quiz, is it?
No, it's not a food quiz. Okay. It's a quiz about Australia.
Australia. That was such an
Hey.
accent. I'm loving it.
You ready? Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I do okay in this. I don't know why.
Oh, do you think so? Okay. Here we go.
No, you
Got
don't.
5 questions here, all multiple choice on Australia. Here we go. Which city serves as the federal capital of Australia?
Canberra.
Is it, okay, I'm going to read out the answers.
Okay, sorry.
Is it A, Canberra,
Yes.
B, Sydney, C, Melbourne, or D, Brisbane? You chose A, Canberra. That's right. Canberra was founded as a compromise between rivals Sydney and Melbourne and is the purpose-built capital of the nation. Well done, Dee. 1 out of 5.
Thank you.
The Great Barrier Reef, the world's largest coral reef system, is located off the coast of which Australian state?
Queensland.
Is it A, Queensland?
Yes.
Is it B, Northern Territory? Is it C, Western Australia? Is it D, New South Wales? You said A, Queensland. The answer is yes, that's Queensland. The Great Barrier Reef stretches over 2,300 kilometres along the northeastern coast of Queensland. Well done, Dee.
Be seen from space, and it's the largest living thing, apparently.
Yeah, amazing. What is the name of the massive sandstone monolith in the Northern Territory that is sacred to the local Anangu people? Anangu.
Uluru, also previously known as Ayers Rock, but you know how they're going back to using the traditional names for things.
Yeah. Look at you. You're so happy. I'm not
I
telling you
am.
right.
I feel like
Hang on. Is it A, the Bungle Bungles? Is it B, the Blue Mountains? Is it C, Uluru? Is it D, Mount Kosciuszko? You've said C, Uluru. Is that right?
Mhm.
Uluru? That's right. Also known as Ayers Rock, is located in the world-famous natural landmark located in the red centre of Australia. D, this is quite possibly your best one so far. 3 out of 5. Right. Which of these animals is a monotreme, meaning it's a mammal that lays eggs found natively in Australia?
Is it the platypus?
Let me read out the answers and we'll see. Is it A, a dingo? Is it B, a wombat? Is it C, a platypus? Is it D, a koala?
Platypus.
So you're going C, platypus. That's right. 4 out of 5. The platypus is one of only 2 types of monotremes in the world, combining mammalian and reptilian traits.
Love it.
Final question.
Don't fuck up. Don't fuck up. Don't fuck up.
Don't fuck up. 5 out of 5 is what we want.
I'm gonna hold back and listen to the answers this time. I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna breathe. Okay, go.
Australia is the only country in the world that is also a isthmus.
Isthmus? No.
Isthmus, that's A. B, a peninsula.
No.
C, a continent. D, an archipelago.
I'm gonna go for continent, but I don't know what because I know it's not the others. But
What is an isthmus?
Isthmus is a stretch of land between 2 bigger lands, like a
North and South America.
Like Central America is like a very big isthmus, like a corridor of land between 2 larger bits of land.
Okay.
Archipelago, or whatever the word I can never say, is a bunch
archipelago.
of islands, which I guess it is, with one massive island in the middle, but I don't think that counts. And also there's loads of other countries that are that. What was the second one?
Peninsula.
No, because that's a bit of land sticking off another bit of land. So it's got to be continent. But I thought the continent was Australasia, which includes like New Zealand, whatever. But I'm going to go continent.
It says Australia is the only country in the world that is also A, and you think it's continent, which is number C.
Yes.
That's right. Australia is unique because it's defined as both a sovereign nation and a continent.
Yay! That is done. Years of listening to Case File, also from having a bearded dragon and a python from Australia, and
Oh, yeah.
lots of neighbors and home and away watching.
That's so funny.
And one short visit to Perth.
And one short visit to Perth.
Yeah.
Well done, Dee.
Okay, thank you. I feel that took it out of me. That was an emotional roller coaster.
Wasn't it?
Between the case and the quiz. So thank you for cleansing my palate and letting me end on a high there, because
You're welcome.
was going to have to go and cry in a dark room for a while, but I'm feeling okay. And thank you for presenting.
You're welcome. I hope that was okay. I took a long time on this one because it
was
I'm not saying like it,
horrendous.
yeah, I'm not saying like it affected me. Obviously, it was really horrific. But the more, because each little bit you read, you find out more, like each of the traumas, like the little girl left in the tracks, like Catherine's horrific childhood. I read
Don't take
into.
me back to there. Don't take me back to there. You cleansed my palate, but yeah.
But honestly, I would, if anyone's interested, like you can find the crime scene report online, and it is really gruesome. And if you want to know exactly what she did to him,
yeah,
and how long that would have taken, I mean, they basically said it would have taken 45 minutes to an hour for her just to sit there to do what she did to just his skin. So she was there for hours and supposedly no recollection. So, like, if anyone's interested, have a read. It just shows what her mind was like. And she obviously very clearly had mental health issues. And I do think that, it just shows that whatever happens in your childhood massively shapes your sanity.
Is it a case of someone just snapping? Because there was decades of behaviors. I think I might do something a little bit more lighthearted next week, just to counterbalance a little bit. But thank you for that. I love you.
Thank you. I love you. And I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased you got 5 out of 5. Have you eber done that before? Was that too easy, that quiz? I think I'm going to have to do a difficult one.
It's only the second quiz you ever did for me. The first quiz was the one that made us start doing quizzes. And this one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, have I only done 2? Isn't that so bad?
But come see us at CrimeCon Birmingham.
Yay. Can't wait. Not long to go. Month and a half.
Sexy listeners.
Absolutely. See you soon. Bye. Like this episode? Want more? Come visit me, Isla, at Crimley Good Books in the heart of York. We're an independent bookshop dedicated entirely to crime. From cosy mysteries to gritty thrillers, historical whodunits to juicy true crime. We've got signed editions, special gifts, and plenty of recommendations for your next obsession. We also host a bunch of awesome author events. Can't make it in person? Visit us online at crimleygoodbooks.co.uk.